right? I mean,
yeah, but then to sit there and listen to Tibbs like with a straight face try and sell that. Oh yeah, Jimmy has general soreness. He wasn't involved much in training camp, and I mean, come on, man. We all know what this is.
right.
I mean, if nothing else, if you're not above insulting your fans' intelligence,
Right.
at least have some modicum of self-respect.
Right. Right.
And come on.
He clearly does not. I mean, he is more in love with Jimmy Butler than any other person has been in love with any other person in the history of human beings.
Does Tibbs love him some more Jimmy Butler than Jimmy Butler loves him some Jimmy Butler?
Oh, I don't know about that. That might be the only topper to Tibbs. The amount of Tibbs' love for Butler is Butler's love for Butler. That's a good point. But the difference is that only one of them can ball.
There is that.
I mean, Tibbs is pathetic here. I mean, and it's sort of astounding. I mean, he's King Lear at this point. I mean, it's unbelievable. But nonetheless, and as long as this drags out, I think it probably is impacting. It's got to be impacting the minds of the rest of the guys. So maybe that's hard, inhibiting the Cat and Wiggins types of performances. I mean, D Rose is your best player season to date. Like, come on, man. But it's got to, the drunk has to want to stop being a drunk before they can stop being a drunk, right? Well, he's got to stop. He's got to start wanting to move Butler before he'll get moved. I mean, it doesn't matter what you throw at him. Apparently right now, because he thinks he can rehabilitate the relationship between Butler and the team. It's just, what more do you need? He doesn't love you, Tibbs. He don't love you, dude. He doesn't. He doesn't love you back. He's just not that into you. There's a whole movie called that. It's so sad.
It is sad, and how that franchise has any fans left is unbelievable to me. 29 years, 2 playoff series victories, both of which came in the same season.
Yeah, I don't. It must be. They must be really popular with the masochist set. That's all I can figure. All right, let's get over to some Minnesota goodbyes here. And while Lonnie's conjuring his up, let's remind you of a couple of business items. First place, thank you for downloading the episodes of this and all the other shows on the network. It helps us out a lot. It doesn't take really any more time to do that, just a few seconds. And it is very helpful to us. Thank you also for hanging out with our guy, Tony Hoagland, your State Farm agent in Champlin, who does a lot with the network and with the show specifically. And for adding your patronage to all this other great sponsors associated with the network. We really appreciate that. And if you would like to sponsor with this or any of the other programs on the show, please reach out to Jim. I think it's jsuhan47@gmail.com. But I could be wrong about that. I'm doing that from memory. Lonnie, what's your Minnesota goodbye, bud?
I have 2 Minnesota goodbyes. I'll start with the shorter one first. I know this is podcast / radio and sight gags don't work, but I'm holding my oar. I'm setting it down and I'm bidding it farewell. So that's 1 Minnesota goodbye to my oar. Apologies to Phil Fleck. I'll be back watching again next fall, but until then, I'm done rowing.
I don't want to say I told you so.
No, go ahead.
I'm pretty sure the line was that we shouldn't put the pre-conference cart before the Big Ten horse.
Nope, and that proved to be right on the money. But during the game on Saturday, as we record here on Monday evening, Illinois had 3 touchdowns of 70+ yards and another one of 67 yards.
Yeah, Illinois.
Yeah, and I mean there was a couple of times where they would hand off to the running back, and he would go up the middle, and there would be like no other defenders even in the screen, even within view of your television. It was insane. Anyway,
Illinois, for which BCS stands for Buffalo Chicken Sandwich. So, yeah.
Wow, well played. Yeah. All right, that's all I have to say about Minnesota Goodbye number 1. Minnesota Goodbye number 2, I was just absolutely filled with rage this morning. I've never been angrier at any point in my entire life than after reading Scott Burnside's puff piece on Gary Bettman and how his nomination to the Hockey Hall of Fame, which he will be inducted. When do you know when the ceremony is, Nick? It's in a couple weeks, right?
Yeah. No.
Anyway, it's coming up. But I've never been more angry about anything in my entire life than reading Scott Burnside sing the praises of Gary Bettman and how I don't even know. I mean, it's like, to read that article, I would have thought hockey would have just shut the doors completely if not for Mr. Bettman. I could go on and on about this, but the last thing I'm going to say is this. Okay, 3 work stoppages on his watch, and we appear to be on the cusp of a 4th, and which includes an entire canceled season, which was 2004, 2005, whenever it was. The only way to even partially make that make sense, to even partially think that canceling an entire season does any good, is if that means there will never, ever be another work stoppage going forward. And lo and behold, 6-8 years later, another work stoppage. So I don't understand it. So yeah, Gary Bettman, screw you, and screw that article from Scott Burnside. And okay, I said that. The other last thing that I'm going to say is Burnside made zero mention of Bettman claiming with a straight face that there's no link between concussions and CTE. Really, Dr. Bettman?
Oof, I didn't. That's tough. That's talking your side of the lawsuit, basically, right?
Right, and that's the lawyer at heart coming to the surface, right?
Right.
So, God damn it! That's all I have to say about that.
That's it. You're good now?
No, I'm not good, but I'm done.
I mean, so I mean, whenever the Bettman discussion comes up, I always remind myself he works for the owners, so I can understand why the owners are satisfied. And you know, when he started, and I just as glancing through the Burnside article, when Bettman started, you know, expansion fees were in the $50 million range, and Vegas came in with 600, or Seattle's coming in with an estimated 650. Vegas paid $500 million, right? I mean, so
that's how sports works in this day and age.
Yeah, but not all. I mean, not automatically.
Oh, God,
right?
Damn you and your devil's advocate play here.
I mean, but I will say that again, just skimming the article right now as you were going off on it. The thing that I didn't like was when the point seemed to be that Gary deserves respect because during these work stoppages, he is often the sole lightning rod, not the owners themselves nor the players. And that standing up there and taking all the slings and arrows, each of those times deserves means he's owed some credit. That's a stretch. That's he's the face of the league. A and B. You don't get knighted or canonized or sainted because you continuously stepped in front of the moving train. And also let's not pretend like that type of visibility isn't also good for Bettman. So that again, I just skimmed the article. That point stood out right away as being particularly specious and frankly inflammatory. And if there wasn't more to the article than that, to the argument than that, then I would agree with you. It's a pretty bad article. But I'll I'll go back and read the rest of it before I pass judgment there on two.
Okay, well, the third to last thing that I'm going to say about this is
the third last.
If I'm going to be hung up on titles, so be it. But as far as I know, Bettman's job title is not henchman mouthpiece to 30 of the wealthiest people walking the planet.
It is, though. That's his job description.
That might be the description, but his title is Commissioner of the NHL, which means, yeah, he may not necessarily be solely responsible for the lockout, but does he not sit at the head of the table?
Yeah,
when it comes to negotiations? And is it not his job to say, all right, owners get in here, players get in here, let's go. We are locking ourselves in here. We will not emerge until the deal is done.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. No, listen, I'm not letting him off the hook. I'm not a big Bettman fan. He didn't make me richer over his tenure, so I don't really care that the owners like him. I'm certainly not trying to defend him as being somehow some saint of hockey, but I was a little appalled by the fact that he got into the Hall of Fame, but I was also appalled by the fact that Chris Pronger got in the Hall of Fame. So I've been on a trajectory of not caring about the Hall of Fame as much over the last couple of years anyway, and him getting in just sort of underlined that for me. So I'm not against you here. I was just playing devil's advocate because it's fun to get you fired up.
I'm done with this.
It's good. It's a good thing Bergie isn't on because he would have you right in a right state for sure. All right, I don't really have a Minnesota goodbye. I mean, it's a reasonably satisfying time in the Minnesota sports scene, given the fact that my two biggest teams, the Vikings and the Wild, are in the midst of their seasons, and both are playing decently. And it's hard for me to get fired up about baseball in any direction. In November, I just ugh. But yeah. So anyway, hey, it's good to catch up, and it's good to get some stuff off our chest and collective chest. And so with that, for Brandon and Lonnie, this is Nick saying thanks for listening to this and all the episodes of the Minnesota Sports Fans Unfiltered show, which you can get at talknorth.com. We will be back with you again soon.